Hi everyone, so we are back with our July update of what happened in the public market arena. So, firstly, in terms of DRHPs, there were three DRHPs that were filed for companies which were backed by VCs or Ps. The first company is Amagi Media Labs. This company filed for a DRHP with an ask of the fresh issue is about 1020 crores, and the OFS offering over here is about 3.4 crore shares. The investors on the cap table include Accel, Norwest, Blume Ventures, and Premji Invest. A quick recap in terms of how the company's look like. FY25, they ended with a revenue of about 1160 crores, a YOY growth of about 32%. It's still burning at an EBITDA level. The next company, which has been talked a lot in the media, and this is one of our well-known eyewear brand, Lenskart. So they filed their DRHP with a fresh issue of about 2150 crores and an offer for sale for about 13.3 crore shares. And if you remember, these offer for sale is always up to number of shares. It's not an exact number. It depends on what market demand is created. Quickly, a summary of the P&L of Lenskart. They do about 6600 crores of revenue. The revenue growth has been about 23%. And as you know, this business is a global business wherein, of course, majority comes from India, but there is also a decent chunk which comes from global markets. They have an EBITDA margin of 20% and generate PAT of about 300 crores. A very healthy, robust business, I would say. The next company is Curefoods, which is looking for a fresh issue of about 800 crores and an offer for sale of about 5 crore shares. The investors on the cap table, some of them over here are Accel, Chiratae, Altavista, Zephyr, Iron Pillar. In terms of their P&L, they have about 750 crores of revenue, growth rate of about 28%, and they are still bleeding at an EBITDA level. So that's quickly on the DRHPs. Now, if you look at the other theme that we always cover is the secondaries or the liquidity that was generated up to 2 years till the IPO date in various companies. So for these companies, let's look at what happened, right? Amagi, about 136 crores of secondary sales happened in the past 2 years, wherein the selling shareholders were some of the institutional investors like Avatar. In case of Lenskart, Lenskart had a very big secondary transaction pool that happened over the last 2 years. In fact, when RDI entered into this company in 23, it was majorly through a secondary trade. That trade was, I think, about 3,000 crores. Cumulatively, the secondary trades that have happened in Lenskart is about 4,200 crores. So this is what we always say at Blume is that a company which is on path to IPO, there are enough liquidity events that can be generated before the IPO, at the IPO, and after the IPO. And Lenskart is a big example for this. In case of Curefoods, again, small liquidity did get generated of about 120 crores or so. The other companies which we had talked about their DRHPs, but their IPOs happened after that, is a company called, let's say, Smartworks, wherein the IPO did happen recently. And there the secondary trade was, or the liquidity that was generated on the part to IPO was worth about 117 crores or so. So good enough chunks are being sold in the pre-IPO journey as well. Now, if you had to look at the IPOs, 4 IPOs which were from PVC backed companies that happened in the month of July. And interestingly, all of these companies have parallels in the Blume portfolio. What I mean by parallel, they play in a space wherein there is a similar company in our portfolio as well, which is doing a similar business at a different scale. So the first company was Indiqube, which went IPO in July, end of July, I would say. And their total issue was about 700 crores. and their market cap was about 4,800 crores, and the OFS was a small component, about 50 crores. We have a company called Beehive, which is in a similar space, and that brings me to another company called Smartworks, which is also in the co-working space. They again IPO'd mid of July. The market cap for them was about 4,400 crores. The total issue was about 720 crores, of which fresh issue was about 140, and remaining, which is majority, which is 580 crores, was OFS, which is secondary trade. Now, coming to the next company, there is a company called GNG Electronics. Their brand name is Electronics Bazaar, which is a company into buying and selling of used laptops. They got listed. Their market cap at listing was about 2,700 crores. The total issue size was about 460 crores. And the fresh issue was 400, small OFS of about 60 crores. We have a company called Cashify, which is in a very similar space. They primarily deal in mobiles, but instead of B2B, they are primarily a B2C company, wherein they buy mobiles and laptops from people like you and me, refurbish it and sell it back to consumers again. Quickly, in terms of numbers of GNG did about 1,400 crores last year, and a revenue growth of about 24%, and EBITDA of about 126 crores. Now, the last company in this range is a company called CARSAC, which is into helping students for study abroad. This company, a Kolkata-based company, went and listed with a market cap of about 4,300 crores. The issue size was 860 crores. And here there was no primary raise or no fresh issue. Everything 860 crores went to only the promoters. And point to be noted, GNG and CARSAC we are including over here because there are comparables to our portfolio companies. They have no PE VC backers. They are purely promoter-led companies. So the entire OFS in this case of 860 crores went to the promoters. And in terms of numbers, CARSAC did about 850 crores of revenue, growing at about 35%, EBITDA of about 30%, and a PAT of about 150 crores. Now, the thing that which we have always said is that you may list at one price, but the market typically discovers your price over a period of time. Now here, these companies just listed, so the discovery time is less. Ideally in 6 months to 1 year is where the real discovery of price happens. But just to state an example, like GNG listed at a price to sales of about 1.9, and at the end of the trading week, it was trading at 2.5 times. So you see a markup of about 25 to 30% on the listing price. Similarly, in case of CARSAC, which got listed at 5 times price to sales, the market price at the end of the week was about 7.3 times. So the point that we also want to convey to founders is that listing is the start of the journey. The price discovery happens over a period of time, wherein people find great interest in your stock or rather in your company and think that you are a long-term compounder. Automatically valuation multiples get discovered, they move upwards. So that's what happened on the IPO side. And the last piece which we always talk about is quickly what happened in companies after they got listed. What were the liquidity events that were generated at that point in time? So here, like in July, in India Shelter Finance Corporation, Nexus Ventures sold stake worth about 478 crores. I guess they sold it across 2 vehicles. In Happy Forgings, a fund of Motilal Oswal sold stock worth about 371 crores. They sold roughly about 4% of the total shares. In case of Ixigo, Elevation continues to sell. They sold stock worth about 217 crores. And in case of Emcure Pharmaceuticals, an entity of Bain Capital sold stock worth about 563 crores. So a total of 1600 crores plus was sold in the post-IPO market. And in case of the IPO market, the total OFS of the companies that we talked about, there was a total OFS of about 1500 crores. And while companies were walking on their IPO path, there was another 6,000-7,000 crores that were generated, within which we already talked about that Lenskart itself was about 4,200 crores or so. So overall, companies that got listed or filed DRHPs in the entire journey of pre-IPO, IPO and post-IPO, these companies generated a liquidity of about 5,000-6,000 crores at least. And as Lenskart goes and lists, there would be OFS that would be happening, and then there would be post-IPO. This number would go further. So that's what happened in July, and the sentiment continues to improve that IPOs are an important event for liquidity generation.